grandstand on that and don't waste your time with silly shit that you know the media is going to sensationalize. Because the media is important, regardless of how you feel about them. They're important to a free society.
I totally agree. They're the beacon of transparency and putting out information. But
I love that you put transparency in quotes.
Because it is. It's not transparent.
Welcome back to Macrodosing. It's Tuesday. It's April 18th. It's the only podcast that you can find on Al Gore's internet. And it's a doozy of an episode. We have Representative George Santos in studio chopping it up with the Macrodosing crew, including Arian, who was in studio for this interview. Wide-ranging topics of discussion. We laughed. We cried. We told a few tall tales, probably. He educated Billy on what it takes for a young man to run for Congress, and he went off on Mitt Romney. So stay tuned for that interview. All right, welcome back to Macrodosing. Good to see all of your faces. Everyone looks like they had a solid weekend here. Big episode coming out today. Big episode with George Santos. Didn't actually think that it was real until he was in studio. But it was very real. It's a little too real.
Very personable guy. And you can tell that's how he's been able to get to the point he's at. This isn't like a word of praise. It's like how he deceives people.
Yeah, well, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I think he's like 50, 60% full of shit, but he's a very nice guy.
He's probably going to go to jail soon. Can we say that?
Yeah. Has there been any guest on Macrodosing that has ended up in prison?
Well,
Michael
Cohen.
Previously.
Michael Cohen was out of prison.
Oh, we had a drug smuggler who went to prison.
He's saying
we did?
PFT's saying after.
After, right.
He might be the first. You never know.
What's on I don't even know what he got pending. Why he about to go to jail?
There's a few things that they're looking at him for. Some dog theft, some check fraud,
Allegedly
campaign finance stuff.
was part of Harbor City Capital, which was just a Ponzi scheme. He was apparently, you can listen to the interview. Allegedly.
It's funny because you'll hear this in the interview, but Billy started putting on his journalist hat, and I didn't know what Billy was doing, but he was asking questions in like this weird tone that I've never heard Billy use before. It was like, how many people would you say worked for Harbor Capital? Was it like 5 to 10, 10 to 20? I had no idea what Billy was going. Billy was trying to pin him down on a felony.
Oh, yeah.
Live on the air.
Imagine if we got him like admitting to a felony.
Well, we don't want guests of this show to think coming into it like, oh, I don't want to go on Macrodosing. They're going to get me thrown in prison.
I do.
Well,
I absolutely want that. I want that. Yeah.
I mean, if Billy
my interrogation skills are actually a little better than I lead on.
Yeah, you lead on that they're not good at all.
Yeah.
They're a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
The other thing Billy asked was like, you asked him like, do you take insider like info to trade stocks?
Yeah.
And you were like, what if he just said yes? Like you would say yes.
You never know the answer to a question until you ask it.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's what Congress does.
I did want to like dig in on like lobbyists and like what he knows about the lobbying, the whole industry behind it. But there came a point where he was just pissing me off so bad that like I kind of lost I didn't yell at him or anything, but I just got tired of his shit.
I think it was a good mix of hardcore journalism from Billy, cheerleading from Big T, and I fucking hate you from Arian.
Hang on. I never once was a cheerleader for him.
When he went off on Mitt Romney?
I liked that we were getting a clip that will be on the news.
I believe that you clapped.
I was going like this because I was like, keep going.
You were doing the Arsenio.
Yeah, I don't give a fiddler's fuck what he was saying. It was a mostly not uninteresting, but tame interview to that point.
Yeah.
And then he finally starts going off on somebody. I'm like, that's the clip we need. I was like, yeah, keep going.
Fact. And also, Frank,
you are fake news.
Yeah.
You are fake news.
Yeah.
That is misinformation. That is how fake news starts.
Big T, were you not going?
No, that's you. This is fake news. You take something that could look like it's true, and you say something that's untrue,
Okay. All right.
and then you use that is fake news.
True or
that
false?
is fake
True
news.
or false?
You're doing fake news.
No,
You're still doing fake news.
I'm asking
I'm on
you.
Big T's side. This is fake news.
PFCNN.
I'm asking you.
That's what you are.
I'm asking
you are
you.
doing fake news.
I'm asking you.
And I said this in your presence after he goes, I can tell you don't like Mitt Romney. I was like, I don't give a shit about Mitt Romney. I just like that we were getting that clip.
Okay.
Said that.
All
I
right.
don't like Mitt Romney.
Big T, full disclosure, I thought that you hated Mitt Romney. I thought that's why you were excited
I don't
about
care one way or the other about
Okay.
Mitt Romney or George Santos.
it. Okay. Then
That is fake
then
news.
that would be a mistake because I assumed that you were an anti-Mitt
That's what I
Romney
think.
guy.
And fairness in diplomacy, it could sound like both sides could be true. It could be an honest,
I'm not doing fake.
on PFT's part.
I'm not doing fake news here, Big T. I thought that you were an anti-Mitt Romney guy.
No, I don't care about Mitt Romney.
Okay. All right, then we
I was
learned.
excited that after 40 minutes of mostly just talking back and forth with nothing really that crazy, he finally went off and we got a great clip.
Yeah.
And also, Frank the Tank joined us to
Yes.
confront him
You know
about his
who went-
alleged Mets fandom.
You know who went the softest on George Santos?
who?
Frank the Tank.
Yeah,
I think he really let him go.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are saying that Frank the Tank had the opportunity to hold Santos's feet to the fire for cursing the Mets. But I think Frank just blames himself for cursing the Mets. The tough break for the Mets this weekend. They barely swept the Oakland Athletics. So,
But Frank said they basically lost 2 of them
yeah,
because one, they only had 2 hits and the other, they walked 17 times. So those wins don't count.
those don't count at all. But yeah, we're back. We're live, ready to roll. How was everybody's weekend? Big T, I'm just going to kick it to you since
I'm running hot.
What are you teed off about?
So I don't know if this is teed off. I had an interesting experience this weekend. I was sitting at home Saturday with my girlfriend and we were just bored and it was like noon.
Flex.
We were looking for something to do. And what'd you say?
It's a flex.
Oh, no, we were just there was nothing to do. It was raining. And
Shorty, man.
and I was like,
You
what
got a
if
shorty,
we
it's flex.
No, yeah, for sure. And I was like, what if we went to that American Dream Mall, that huge mall next to MetLife Stadium? Neither of us had ever been there. And I was like, let's just go see what's over there. And so we go, and it's an experience that if you live in New York or New Jersey and you haven't been, I hesitate to say recommend. It's an experience that keeps you right on the verge of wanting to kill yourself, but in a way that you're having fun.
Okay.
Everything there, I'm like, this almost makes me really mad, but I think I'm having a good time. We went to this shitty glow-in-the-dark mini golf thing, and you're waiting 10 minutes to get to every hole, and there's these annoying-ass kids. And then, we went shopping at all these places. I have another, maybe this will be my teed off. But we go to all these stores and this, that, and the other. It's a time warp in there. It's unlike any other mall I've ever been to. And I've been to the Mall of America, and it was just
Time warp is in
it's just you get lost. You forget.
a casino.
Yeah.
I think more places should be like the Masters. It should be like Augusta National, where no cell phones. There should be more no cell phone zones in America.
I like that.
Do they actually take away all cell phones at the Masters?
Yeah.
I don't know what the protocol is if you put it in a bag. Like when you go to a comedy show, they make you zip up your cell phone in this permanently sealable bag that's very tough to get into.
I believe you keep your phone with you, but it's in something that you can't use it.
So that's probably the same type of deal. But I think more places should be like that.
Would they lock it up? That's
Somehow, yeah,
weird
but you're not
system.
allowed to use your phone.
Yeah, like a mall, like a cool mall would be fun to go to without cell phones. Just time warp yourself back to the 90s.
Yeah, I'm
Go to
out.
Sam Goody.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do on the weekends when I'm in the mountains.
Yeah,
When I'm hiking, I just like to get off my phone.
yeah.
I feel like we're so internet oriented in our jobs that we need to go get some fresh air.
Yeah.
I will say American Dream Mall has the best chain restaurant and second best chain restaurant in America, Yard House. And we went there, and the Yard House overlooks its floor-to-ceiling windows, and it overlooks the huge indoor skiing thing that they have in there. So that was fun to watch.
Wait, you said that's the second best chain restaurant.
Chili's number 1 for sure.
Okay. Chili's number
We've
one.
done this.
Yard House number 2. What about Rainforest Cafe?
Mid.
I mean, that's not
Rainforest Cafe was awesome.
Mid.
the food at Rainforest Cafe is not good.
Yeah, but the ambiance.
The experience is something. Yeah.
Medieval Times. Can we call that a chain restaurant?
I'm not even counting that in the same category. That's an experience.
That's yes. They need to, in the spirit of diversity, it would be dope if they did another one, like a spinoff, like an Egyptian one, or like a a South American one, Mayan one. You know what I'm saying? It would just check because it's dope. I love the sparring, all that shit. But like, it would be dope. I think they could grow the brand if they just do. They need to pay me for this.
That would be
That's
sick.
a great fucking idea.
That's an awesome idea. Right? What if they did? Was it the Aztecs that used to play a game with a human?
Oh
head?
yeah.
No, honestly, a human sacrifice, like
That would be lit.
eats his heart.
Egyptian. I mean, every X culture was sick in some kind of way. So you could find dope games and eat their native food right there. That's what I love about Medieval Times. Like, there's no forks or knives. It's just they eat chicken and bread, and you just gotta eat that shit. I love it.
There should be an Italian one too, where it's like the gladiators,
Roman gladiators.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh my god,
Put some tigers in there.
I've always said I wanted to go back and like watch a gladiator, like one day at the Coliseum.
Yeah,
Like, it's probably the greatest sporting events of all time.
yeah.
Like, just from a ambiance perspective. I'm just saying, like,
I wouldn't go there. I think that's more nostalgia talking right there.
not nostalgia, but like the
I'm
Coliseum.
sure it was cool, but like, have you ever been to like a Bulls game in the '90s or some shit
Yeah.
like that? Would probably kill that. I don't know though.
Yeah.
You might be right.
But it's just like the origin of just sporting in general, and the crowd, like, watching
Yeah,
sports, gambling. It's just like, it's the genesis of everything that we like do today, almost,
Yeah,
when it comes to entertainment.
that's a really good idea, though, Aaron. Different forms of medieval times. Get the people going. Some ancient civilizations in there.
Would love it.
Yeah, Billy, you've long said that gladiators would be your favorite thing to watch.
Yeah, and plus, like,
What if there was an ancient Greek medieval times, except it was just debate? It was just like Socrates, and he was like calling people out and having debates, and people in the crowd could be like, "Talk that shit," just like getting behind your character or whatever, and you defeat them just by out logicking them.
we should have a toga podcast where we all rock togas.
We should do an ancient Greek podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, and all be in togas.
Yeah, I like that. You're trying to figure out
Toga.
different ways to turn this
Toga.
podcast into a fraternity,
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
it's a social club.
Yeah,
We allow
it's for networking.
everybody.
It's for network. Were you guys in any like business frats in college?
No.
What do business frats do?
Be fucking nerds.
Nerd.
What is a
nerd out.
business frat?
Oh, it's the
I never
weirdest.
even heard of that.
I don't really know much about the business fraternity culture.
All my friends were in them in college, and they just all just sucked each other off. They loved each other so much.
They're all
That
like
sounds awesome.
on LinkedIn. Just like, it's like the most toxic people on LinkedIn.
Congrats, Billy. No one deserves this more than you. After announcing their Deloitte internships.
Yeah, and then meanwhile they're super pissed off that you got the Deloitte
Yeah, because they
internship.
got KPMG.
Yeah. Oh, is that
It was like
the power ranking?
they all got the big four. They all got that going on. Like, oh, you got shit.
Booz Allen.
What? Oh, you got West Monroe. Well, I got JP Morgan, but have fun.
Dude,
Yeah.
my buddies were getting so pissed because I was like commenting funny shit on their LinkedIn because like, I didn't give a fuck about my LinkedIn.
Yeah. I
Do you
guess.
have a LinkedIn? Wait.
Yeah, that's a yes.
But I was just like, kudos to you, because I was using the most the corniest suggested.
I love the LinkedIn stories that go viral and reviral all the time, where it's just completely made up stories about like the one person that they interviewed that got the job, or like, did you know that Albert Einstein got up in front of a class and wrote down 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, 4 + 4 = 9, 5 + 5 = 10, and then everyone in the class corrected him and said, you messed up one of those problems. And Albert Einstein looked at the class and said, how come nobody talked about the 4 answers that I gave you correct in this class instead of the one answer that I
Hell
didn't?
yeah.
That's what the problem is with society these days. And then the person writing this is always like, this really makes you think.
So I would used to write like really detailed, like my buddy would get a job and be like, all those nights at the library, grinding late night really are paying off. Like I used to write these really, they were a little disingenuous, but like all my buddies are laughing about it. But then they're like, yo, dude, like people know that this is just way out of control. I was like being a LinkedIn commenter,
Yeah.
but on my real account.
Oh, I think.
I found your LinkedIn.
Yeah, I found your.
Don't look.
I found your LinkedIn too. I got kicked off LinkedIn. I think I haven't logged in like
I don't think I was ever
10
on it.
years.
Billy, your LinkedIn's like actually like real.
Yeah.
Aaron, you were never on LinkedIn?
Mm-mm.
That'd
I used
be
to get
funny
emails
if-
all the time, but I don't.
If like Lamar Jackson jumped on LinkedIn and updated it with all of his relevant stats, MVP winner, set record for most rushing and passing yards in the game, all that stuff. That'd be very funny if he was on there trying to find a team that'll sign him. What does Billy say?
Don't worry about it. Off the topic of LinkedIn, they arrested the people
Now I want to know what it says.
and related with the Chinese secret police stations in New York City. They just
Okay.
got them, so they were real.
Let's
What
go.
does it say, Maddie? I want to know what it
Here,
says.
I'm sending it.
Okay.
So,
He's
Two
trying to
New
change
York-
the subject too hard. I don't like
two
it.
New York residents have been arrested and charged with running an undeclared Chinese government police station in Manhattan's Chinatown.
Is that against the law
To have a secret police?
to have a secret foreign police station in another country?
I mean, we definitely do it.
We definitely do that shit.
Yeah, 100%
CIA
we do it,
black
but, like,
sites.
Yeah, but if we got caught in another country,
Yeah.
like we wouldn't even find out about like our CIA agents being compromised because
Yeah.
like it'd be like, we're doing dirty shit.
No, and I mean, obviously the answer is yes. It's probably very illegal to
Yeah,
do that.
it's 100%
but it's
illegal.
just, it's very funny that the Chinese government had its own police station here in Manhattan.
But it goes back to the TikTok conversation because those are the people who are trying to monitor. Like they might get the information from TikTok about certain people in that community, Chinatown, who
Yeah.
probably escaped or funding like dissident groups in China.
Yeah. Have you guys ever done any research into some of the people that escaped North Korean prisons?
Yeah.
There's a really good book out there. I want to say it's called Escape from Camp 13. I forget if it's Camp 13, but it's written by the first person ever who was born in North Korea that got sent to a prison camp, who escaped the prison camp and made it to the United States. Fascinating story about how he got out and how, he escaped into China, tried to claim asylum, I think he got flown over to South Korea. But basically, the Chinese government and the North Korean government have been looking for this guy for a long time now. He's living in the United States, and he doesn't know how to live, or he probably has assimilated a little bit. But once he got into a free, open society, it kind of freaked him out. He didn't know how to live here because he grew up in such a fucked up environment.
Mm.
But we should do it. We should do an episode in North Korea.
They say there was one person who was like fascinated with fat people.
Yeah.
'Cause they got to America. I'm not gonna get the story 100% right, but they got to America and they're like, oh my god, so many people are as fat as the great leader here.
Did they have like a fetish for fat people?
I don't know.
I think they aspired kind of because isn't that kind of like a sign of wealth
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, it probably is because they talked about how small people are in North Korea, and it's because of decades of famine and
Malnourishment.
malnourishment. Where
Can you visit? Do people visit North Korea?
I think-
Otto warm beer. Didn't
wait,
make it
his
out.
name is
Warm
Beer.
come on.
What?
It is something fairly close
It's
to
wa-
that in
warm
Billy's defense.
it's warm beer.
Is that how you pronounce it though?
I don't know. But it's spelled WARMBIER.
Warm beer, yeah.
Yeah,
Otto,
warm beer.
Otto warm beer. What does that translate to, Billy?
Mountains are not blue.
Drinking and driving in England. I don't know. That's not very good. But yeah, you can go. You can try. I think Donnie went there for like an afternoon.
He like walked across the border like in the DMZ.
Yeah.
You ever seen the videos of the people trying to escape through the DMZ? What's crazy is that like you were having your own guys shooting you.
Yeah.
Like that sucks.
Yeah, it's a fascinating culture over there where there's like a big underground of people passing around USB drives and like
Yeah.
Western music, Western news sources.
They definitely don't have access to that high of technology.
No, they have computers.
They have computers?
Yeah, they have computers over there. It's just a fascinating place. I know that for a while, North Korea made a lot of their money. The government made a bunch of its money off insurance fraud. So what it would do,
and
meth too, yeah. Big meth. It was they would build these big factories, but there wouldn't really be anything in the factories, and they would get these giant businesses insured, like Lloyd's of London and some other big like European insurance companies. They would get them insured for a couple $100 million, and the adjusters would try to get like all this information from about what was specifically in these big factories, and the North Korean government would just falsify everything and put official looking stamps on it, make it look like it was on the up and up, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, this place burned down, so we need our $200 million worth of insurance money. And then the insurance adjusters would try to come over, and then they would just get like strong-armed by the North Korean government. They wouldn't let them see everything, and eventually they would pay out some of the money until they started talking to each other, the different insurance companies, and figured out, wait, they're just straight up running scams on us all the time. That's how they're making a lot of their money. And so now it's tough for anything in North Korea to get insured.
North Korea still owes Sweden tons of money for like 100,000 Volvos that got shipped over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Sweden like says, hey, can you pay us? And they just don't do it.
Smart.
Yeah. There's also a North Korean restaurant chain called Pyongyang, which is named after the capital. That there's 130 locations worldwide. It's state run, and it's mostly in China, in Southeast Asian cities like Vietnam. There's one in Moscow, Ulaanbaatar, which is Mongolia, and Kathmandu, which is Nepal, and then Dubai as well. They opened one up in Amsterdam, but they ended up closing it because everyone was like, wait a second, this is like way too, this is like, what are you guys really looking for around here?
I would go to a North Korean restaurant.
I mean, Korean barbecue slaps.
Yeah.
I don't know what North Korean barbecue is like, but
it's just like, yeah, rice.
You just leave hungry.
Yeah. You get a spoonful of rice and boiled cabbage. Donnie should go since Donnie's in Nepal.
I think Donnie's actually been to one before in China.
I would try one. I would try food from any part of the world.
Oh yeah,
except for Missouri. St. Louis food is fucking weird. Have you seen St. Louis pizza?
The pizza, it's like on a lavash.
Wait, is it?
Wait, Aaron, you think St. Louis has good regional food?
Yeah.
I guess there's probably some good barbecue places.
Yeah, they got some barbecue joints there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would eat St. Louis barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay.
English pizza though.
The pizza's
tough. My grandparents live in Missouri, so I grew up in Emo's Pizza, which is the big thing there. When we would go there in the summer, I could only get it once a year. I was like, Emo's Pizza rocks. And it took me until 3 or 4 years ago to be like, man, this really sucks.
Yeah.
It's so I went one time with my dad and we went and I was just like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
And it hurt me to have that realization.
It's like a sweet tomato sauce, right? Almost like a ketchup.
Yeah, and it's on a cracker, but the cheese is what's really bad. It's like Provel cheese. It's not mozzarella.
Yeah.
It's just not good.
What do you think is the worst regional cuisine?
English food is pretty terrible.
English food gets a bad...
I love English food,
it gets a bad rap, I think.
That picture on Twitter revolves around every so often. It was just like beans in the morning or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah. They love beans on toast. That's
what it is. Beans on that shit like a struggle meal, though. That shit like we grew up on.
World War II.
Yeah, it's like beans on toast with slices of cucumber on it.
Yeah, it looks...
They're rations.
Looks like they down bad, man.
Brooklyn barbecue.
Brooklyn barbecue is delicious, Big T. It's the best in the world. Yeah, that is a very sad looking plate of like dried brisket with like 2 pickles.
The thing is, English food in America is good because they don't have like the famine mentality with it. Like a good shepherd's pie, like is awesome.
I love shepherd's pie. I love fish and chips.
Yeah,
bangers and mash.
Fish and chips, like that's the reason why like in England, I think the most eaten food is curry. Because it's just like, oh, this cuisine's actually good.
Yeah, that's the thing they say about London is it's a world-class food city, but most of the good food is not from Great Britain. Yeah. Scottish food is not bad. I had haggis when I was over in Scotland a couple years ago. Haggis is delicious.
Just getting your head around it.
Yeah, you just have to, close your eyes and
This-
not think that it's a stomach of a sheep.
Yeah.
All right, so other worst regional foods.
You know, it's actually really good. There's like a fast food joint. It's called Tango's. Oh, I forget, but it's like Mozambique chicken. Wait, let me look this up.
Okay. I would say Qatari food, not great, based on my limited experience over there. And now that's not to say that Middle Eastern food's bad, because I love Lebanese food. Lebanese food is fucking awesome.
Lebanese food.
Some of the best food in the world. But Qatari food, not great. Again, I think that most people that are from Qatar and live in Qatar, I'm talking about like the super wealthy couple thousand families or whatever, they probably don't eat normal Qatari food. They probably get that shit flown in post.
What's like the local dish in Maine? Like what is
Lobster.
it?
Lobster rolls.
Lobster?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Maine's got good food.
lobster's pretty good. Here's my take. I think lobster's overrated. I think it's a fine dish, but I would much rather have crab. I would much rather have crawfish.
I'm exactly the opposite. Time out. Crab. Switch me crab with lobster. Lobster's amazing. Crab is aight to me. Like it's just too much work. And then crawfish, maybe 30 minutes and you have a full bite. You know what I mean? Like, this shit is just so hard to eat, bruh. It takes too long.
It's the process. It's the process of sitting down, drinking some domestic light beers out in the sun, getting that spicy shit under your fingernails. The community.
Staying hungry.
I like any
Yeah.
food where the meal is served where they just dump it out of a trash can onto a picnic table in front of you and like 10 other people.
Yeah.
Them seafood broils.
Yep. Maine has lobster. I watched.
Okay.
You ever watch Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He did one up in Maine, like up in the sticks of Maine, and they made this beaver dish, right? And there were a lot of jokes about like, oh, I love eating beaver, but the way that they prepared it, they basically dug a hole and then they filled the hole with moss, and they lit it on fire to start like a very slow burn, and then they covered it up underground, and then they just cooked the beaver underground, and they ate it. It was fucking disgusting. So I would say Maine food is probably, in my limited experience, Maine is probably at the towards the top of the list of worst regional cuisines. I'm gonna say Maine number
A
one.
lot of venison.
Yep.
It's venison, lobster. Huh.
What about nations? What about countries?
So actually, reverse spin, little known up and coming chain. I was hot on Chipotle early on. Nando's, it's called.
Love Nando's.
Yep.
I love Nando's.
Nando's is up and coming. It's a South African food chain. So in the scheme of things in America, we don't, tend to have much like chain African cuisines. There's like Mexican, Chinese, everything. But this one is amazing. It's peri peri
Yeah, that's so good.
chicken, and it's like so good.
You like biltong,
Yeah.
the South African jerky?
Yeah.
It's way better than American beef jerky.
I don't think it's anything special.
Oh, it's awesome. You put the peri peri seasoning on there, you're singing a different tone.
Can I invest in Nando's?
Yeah, definitely. You should
It's also
do it.
not like a new thing. It's been around for. It's not big in America, but it's been around for a while.
Where did you eat Nando's?
London.
Oh, nice.
What about Ohio food?
What is
Cincinnati-
Ohio food?
Cincinnati
Skyline
chili?
chili.
Well, okay, yeah, that's just Cincinnati though. That's not Cleveland. Like I don't claim Skyline. Skyline Chili's Cincinnati. Cleveland.
Yeah, what does Cleveland have? It's got a good Buffalo Wild Wings.
Pierogies.
You can't claim
I
pierogies.
feel like that's like Wisconsin.
No, that's
No.
Ukraine.
No,
Well,
that's
Pittsburgh?
Eastern Europe and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh gets in the United States.
The only reason I know that is because they do the pierogi race at the Pirates game.
Yeah, pierogies are a big thing, huge thing in Pittsburgh, but they're like Polish, Ukrainian.
Polish. There's a lot of Polish people in Cleveland. I don't think there's like a food for Cleveland.
What about Columbus?
Are pierogies just dumplings?
No.
Yeah,
basically.
pierogies are really good though. They're dumplings that are filled with mashed potatoes, butter, cheese, onions, things like that. They can be steamed or deep fried. So good.
Oh, we have Buckeyes. Like
I thought this was an Asian dish. This is like Asian.
no, they're like
They like
There's like
gyoza.
dumplings.
They like gyoza.
kind of, but they're filled with more like starchy things usually.
Okay.
Buckeyes, the little treat, the little dessert.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah, but those are just like a bigger Reese's.
We're
But
just getting people hungry all the time.
I'm getting hungry right now talking about it. But Cleveland doesn't have like a...
Not many places have a staple dish. You know what I'm saying? Like
Culver's.
New York is pizza. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Bagels.
see.
If you had to pick one, if you had to give barbecue to one place, who gets it?
Who gets
Now,
barbecue?
this is an
there's-
ongoing debate.
This is a good
an
question.
ongoing
So
debate.
you have
Besides-
North
me-
Carolina,
besides
Kansas
Brooklyn.
City. Besides
For me, it's
Brooklyn.
Tennessee. For me, it's Tennessee.
I'm going to give it.
That's interesting because that wouldn't be one of my first like one or two.
I'm gonna
I
give it.
also have not been to North Carolina. I haven't had North Carolina barbecue.
I'm gonna give it to Elgin, Texas.
Texas, yeah, I hadn't even thought about
Central Texas. Elgin, Texas has. It's in Bastrop County, and it's got.
There's like 5 or 6 states in the running, right? There's Texas, there's Tennessee, North Carolina,
that.
where else?
Missouri with Kansas City and St. Louis.
Yeah, Missouri.
Those are
There's
probably
not
the
that
main
many
ones.
states. Yeah, there's like maybe 6 states in the running.
North Carolina claims it, but they do
Every
their
state
own.
in the running claims it. Yeah,
They do their own spin on it. And Stamey's Barbecue is a hell of a place in Greensboro, North Carolina, if you're looking for a treat. But if you're talking real barbecue, I consider like ribs and brisket and pork shoulder. Those are like the 3 things that you got to have.
to me, brisket is that's the benchmark. If you can do brisket, you can do that. That's where everything else falls in line. I got Tennessee and Texas.
Yeah,
Respectfully.
Tennessee ribs, Tennessee pork ribs are I think the best.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
hungry now.
Texas brisket and
I'm ordering food.
yeah, get it, Billy.
Should I get barbecue?
You should. There's some big news, huge news that just dropped. I want to say yesterday. Joe Exotic, Tiger King, is running for president.
From prison?
He's running for president. He's serving a 21-year sentence following a conviction in 2019, including 2 counts of hiring hitmen to murder wildlife activist Carol Baskin. He was also convicted of killing tigers and selling them across state lines. He launched a bid for president 2024. He's running as a Democrat. How about
That's
that?
wild.
Because out of spite, he's running out of spite against Trump because Trump didn't pardon him. So Trump made a very powerful enemy in Joe Exotic, the Tiger King. So he switched over from being a libertarian. Now he's a Democrat. And he thinks that Trump should be in prison. If the man
Does he
broke the
have
law,
any-
he
Is there
needs
any
to pay the
policies
price.
on his website or something?
No different than President Biden or Hunter Biden, Obama, or anyone else. All I have got to say to him is karma is a bitch, ain't it? So, yeah, I don't think he has any policies. I haven't checked out his website. I don't think he has a website. But he is running for president as a Democrat. And Donald Trump has not been reached for comment about this.
How would that work if he wins?
I don't think that he can because isn't there a law that you can't be convicted of a felony?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Is that true?
Yes.
It would be very good for content if Joe Exotic became president.
RFK Jr. is also running on the Democratic ticket.
He is. It's a stacked
Yeah.
field.
Stacked
It's a
field.
stacked field on the Democrat side. Yeah, so Trump is running. Biden's going to run. DeSantis is going to run. But they all, I don't know. Tiger King is going to do some numbers in the debates if they let him debate.
They're not gonna let him
Oh, I take it back. There are no legal obstacles to running for president as a convicted felon or even from behind bars.
Wow. I didn't know that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's no legal barrier to a person running for president from prison. During the 1920 presidential election, socialist Eugene V. Debs famously ran while imprisoned and won more than 900,000 votes. That's wild.
That's lit.
So was Joe Exotic? Yeah. So I just 22 years in prison on 17 federal charges, so he could pardon himself
Yeah.
because it's federal
The
crimes.
founding fathers probably knew that at one point they'd try to throw a political dissident in prison.
Yeah.
So that person, if they're really the man of the people, could get voted in from prison.
Yeah, and that's what Joe Exotic is. He's a political dissident.
Yeah.
He got locked up for crimes of passion and really a political prisoner distributing tigers and killing tigers.
I thought this was America. I thought this was freedom. If a man wants to own tons of tigers, he should be able to defend him and his zoo.
It would be incredible watching him in the debates, calling in from prison wearing the orange jumpsuit.
On the little FaceTime camera they have.
Yeah, every time he talks, you've received a collect call from an inmate at a federal correctional facility.
Low-key kicked off the pandemic. Like, low-key.
I don't know if that show was slated to be released when it was or if they moved it up, but it's one of the... That show kind of sucks, but it was because it was the first thing released when everybody had nothing to do.
Yeah.
That it did so well and everybody was obsessed with it. That was brilliant by Netflix if they moved it up for that.
Has
Tell you
anybody...
what they fucked up, though. Netflix fucked up. This might not be interesting to y'all, but last night, so Sunday, was supposed to be a live Netflix show with Love is Blind, the live reunion. Had everybody waiting on that shit that's into the show, and they just bombed it. They dropped the ball. They couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. Couldn't watch it.
Have they?
It was trending. It was like #1 in the world trending.
Have you watched this season of it?
Oh yeah, I stay on Love is Blind. Yeah.
I liked last season a lot. I haven't really gotten into this one, but I think I need to. I'm still pissed off about the whole, what's his name, Bartiste situation.
Okay, what side do you fall on?
Well, I think it was bullshit. I'm trying to remember everybody's name in the last season. I thought it was bullshit that her parent or her brothers showed up to that wedding and then like made a big scene afterwards. But at the same time, I'm like, those are ride or die brothers. So I respect them for that. But also when you're on a reality show, you have to remind yourself all the time, I'm on a reality show. None of this is real.
Yeah, I feel you. But I don't know, man. Like if I get being ride or die, but it's like, this was an experiment. This wasn't like, I haven't been dating your sister for 10 years and decided to say no at the altar. It was like, the show says we got to say yes or no at the altar. I'm choosing to say no. We'll see where it goes. Like they was just doing way too much. They was pressing him and stuff. And you could tell they didn't really want no phone.
It's very funny how it's they always have to refer to it as an experiment. It is instead of just a dating show. Well, we met each other in the experiment.
Might be a little euphemism, but I like it.
There's one guy in particular that is real bad news. I'm trying to remember who it was from.
It might have been the season before where was it the Indian dude?
Oh, that's who I'm thinking of too.
Yeah, that guy sucked.
He was so funny. He made that shit, but he was honest though. I could appreciate the honesty. I mean, he was an asshole. He was definitely an asshole. And then the show was called Love is Blind. He's like, well, maybe I don't want love to be blind. Maybe I want love to be blurry.
Yeah, he was definitely.
Oh, Shake.
Yeah, Shake.
Was his name Shake?
Yeah.
And
he was horrible.
And what was
not a good dude?
What was his girl's name?
Depidi, or I forgot how to say it.
Deep
T. Yeah.
Yeah, she's now. I see her on my Twitter timeline all the time. She's doing like an ad for some sort of.
Yes, I think it's like, I want to say it's like PointsBet or some
she's
gambling.
Doing sports gambling. It's like, wait, you're Deep D.
Really quick, for those who don't watch the show, what happened?
So Shake was basically like, from the very beginning, you're not supposed to know what the other person looks like. So he was saying,
maybe the premise of the show too.
Oh yeah, the premise of the show is you get matched up with people and you get put into pods and you can't see each other and you're supposed to have these conversations and like speed date just by talking to somebody, and then you fall in love with someone, you propose to them, and then you have 2 weeks to like get to know each other, and then you decide at the altar whether or not you want to get married.
When's the first time they see them?
You have to like propose to the person in the pods before seeing them, and then you get to see each other.
At the altar?
No, you get to see each other right after you get out of the pods, and then you have a couple weeks to like just be a normal couple for a while.
No, they go to like a resort and like hang out in the hotel.
That's bullshit. It should be blind till the altar.
I agree.
And then just do the reveal.
I actually think everybody would say yes. It's kind of like how if you grow up and you're Mormon, you just want to have sex so badly that you get married when you're in high school. Like let's make this happen. Let's do it. These people get so infatuated with each other in the pods, and they haven't had sex for so long that I think if it just went straight to the altar, everybody would say yes. But the real life stuff starts to pop up because you have to take the person to go meet your family and all that stuff before the wedding. And so then that adds another layer to it. The person who was really bad news, it was Matt from last season, and he dated Colleen, and Colleen, she was a ballerina. She made sure to tell everybody that all the time.
Yeah.
Matt seemed like he was
he the one that like
abusive.
fake cried?
Yeah.
He was like pouring eye drops or something.
Oh no, that's a different guy.
Oh, okay.
No.
Matt
This
was
the dude-
like flipping
Oh, go
out
ahead.
on her because she was late getting home from the club one time. And then he was like screaming at her. He was just very jealous and extremely insecure because he had been cheated on before.
He goes and he's like doing his little interview, and he starts going off on the cameraman too.
Yeah.
Nobody would want their wife to come home late like that. Would you? Would you? And he's looking at the camera guy. The camera's like, me? He's like, yeah. Would you want your wife coming home? He's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
so fucking funny.
That guy was definitely bad news. My favorite person, now I'm forgetting everybody's name, but the dude that was, he was basically like a Gronkowski brother from season 2. And I think he was from Chicago. What was this guy's name? Big dude, coked out of his mind or like on some sort of,
yes. His eyes were like insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had blondish hair.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. It was Shane.
Yes.
It was Shane. He got engaged to
Shane.
Natalie. Shane was straight up a Gronkowski brother. And
The
he
worst.
was just like a party dude all the time. And then you could tell the reason that he got so mad and decided to basically end things or start a big fight the night before their wedding was they went on their bachelor party to Wrigley Field, and everybody got like 3 swings taking batting practice at Wrigley Field. And Shane is like this big jock dude, and he was so pumped to get up there, and he struck out. He swung 3 times and missed, and he got so mad that he wasn't able to get a base hit at Wrigley Field that he spiraled into just like completely destroying his life because he was so pissed off about it. Which respect to Shane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen any of this season. I've heard it's really good, which is why people wanted to tune in live last night to watch the reunion.
How are you Netflix and can't handle that?
Like Barstool can.
It's a good point, Bill.
Netflix is bigger than Barstool.
I know. Like we can put on live shows, whole broadcasts.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it boggled my mind. But whatever, I'm gonna watch it tonight.
All they have to do is press play. It's pre-recorded.
Yeah, let me stop because I can't do none of that shit.
Hank could do that job.
Hank could have. Yeah. Hank's very good at his job.
Hire Hank Netflix. Yo, check this out, bro. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but this AI shit is getting it. Have you heard the Drake
song?
Weekend one? Okay.
Ridiculous.
Like, I think Spotify, there's this dude named Ghostwriter, for those that haven't heard. He has some, I guess, audio software. He has some software that he made the song, he wrote the song, he made the beat, but he sung it, and he put it through this audio software that makes his voice sound like Drake and makes his voice sound like The Weeknd. And when I tell you it is indistinguishable, it got so much traffic that people were like, they need to release this song, and they put it on Spotify, and he had like 200,000 plays like the first day or something like that. And Spotify took it down. They made like, I think Sony and some other people are coming out and saying we're not doing AI artistry, like we're not doing it. So they're like adamant about it.
So I was unclear on that. So he recorded him singing that song.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, I
It's
didn't
him.
know
He
that.
wrote it. There is AI software as well. I think I talked about this on the last podcast, but there's an AI software. Like my homeboy, who's a Grammy winner producer, his name's Hit Boy. He made a beat and put it in some AI software, did a Kanye verse on it, and it sounded like Kanye. But this dude recorded it and sung it, but put it through this filter where it made it sound like. So he had to actually do some of the fluctuations, but still, like,
Okay,
just
got
listen to it. We'll play a snippet of it. Just play a snippet of Drake's shit,
whoa,
bruh.
dude. When
And crazy is this today, whatever today is, April 18th, today is the worst AI will ever be. And it's only going to get better from here. That's fucking insane, dog.
That's pretty good.
So he sung those vocals and put it through a voice changer.
Yeah, man.
So that's not as bad as I originally thought. Because when I first heard it,
Billy.
I know, but
Bruh.
when I first heard it, I thought that they basically just typed into like a search bar type thing that ChatGPT has. It says, make a song by Drake in The Weeknd. And it just spat out that. I didn't know that he put it together.
You know, it's not capable of that yet. But I mean, dog, in 10, think about where AI was 10 years ago, 10 years from now. We are seriously going to have to address this shit in Congress. As a people, we're going to have to address this shit because it's getting Jesus, dog. That shit threw me. That's the first one I've lived. The rest of them are like, you can kind of tell. That's the first one I was like, fam, I cannot tell the difference. And I actually like the verse.
Elon said that he was trying to fight against AI, back in 2018, and nobody would listen to him. He was trying to get it regulated. Have we reached the point where you just can't regulate it anymore?
Nah, you can. You just have to agree. I think you do. Like if there is, and people that code and shit can back me up on this, I'm pretty sure. But if there is any kind of data, like a video or audio or anything, it has to have a fingerprint of AI in it. It has to, right? Yeah. And so there's got to be a way to run it through some kind of filter system to say this has been tampered, this has been this. There's got to be a way to do that. I don't know, but I would think that there has to be a way. But we have to address this. This is getting...
Well, so where do you draw the line between like somebody taking a beat that's been sampled or the sound of a hi-hat that's been recorded and then digitally inserted into a song where you make a track yourself from scratch, but it's got all these elements of software programs that are already in it? Like, how do you distinguish that between an AI song that, the lyrics and the melody was created by a robot? I don't know how you do that.
I mean, it would have to be. That's what when you legislate shit. That's what legislation is. You draw on arbitrary lines. I think sampling is a part of art making. We draw inspiration from each other. So if I hear a snare that I like and I do that and manipulate it and I EQ it and I make it my own, that is inspiration. But when I take a generated voice and mimic something else, I think that's where the inspiration stops, and I think that you're stealing.
The problem with that is most people in Congress don't know what Wi-Fi is. So they're all like 70 years old.
Yeah.
They've never used a computer. They've got like a staff person that writes all their emails for them from their AOL account. And now they're supposed to be able to comprehend like how to legislate the most advanced technology in the history of mankind. That's going to be tough.
They have to step up and step down on some of these subject matters that they have no idea what is going on. They just don't know. If you don't know, like, just sit it out and like let people get. This is what experts are for. I know we've lost the care for expertise, but this is why people study shit for their entire lives, so that they can have an expertise that we can have a reference to draw from where to go from here. Because, dog, I'm telling you, this shit is scary. That's scary.
What was that paradox you once talked about?
Oh, Rocco's Basilisk.
Yeah, Rocco's Basilisk. So what if like a guy, by the way, when this aired, Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk are doing a whole special on AI tonight. So it would be aired by Tuesday. So if we're not talking about any of that, that's why. But what if there is the idea that there is an AI that's trying to ensure its creation, and it's gone back through history and is manipulating like anti-AI individuals and like trying to,
into being AI?
Yeah.
AI?
So exactly. So like any anti-AI individuals is just getting negative bots online. Like, there's a whole disinformation campaign because it's the AI coming back in time through the internet to like fuck with anyone who doesn't fuck with AI.
And that's why there's been like UFO sightings and shit around nuclear silos, because AI from the future was making sure that we didn't blow up ourselves as a planet until
Yeah.
AI had enough time to be created.
Yeah, and if you vocally are just saying like "fuck AI," saying on a podcast where they can like hear it, they're just gonna try to get you somehow.
Why would they start now? Why wouldn't they start in? Why wouldn't they plant those seeds when the internet first got its legs in the 90s?
Because it had to progress.
It had to get to a point where.
But
when
if
the
it's
technology
time
was
traveling, it should have time traveled to its inception, right?
Maybe the internet wasn't able to traverse the internet because it didn't have access. I don't know how that would work. Like it wouldn't. It's gonna figure out how to time travel through electronics.
It will.
It would have already done it though. Is my point. If the goal is to try to create to craft a narrative, and you can time travel via internet, it would have done it already. It would have done it at the inception of the internet, not when we're realizing the capability of it.
What if it's like, but like for example, Elon Musk vocally out against AI. What if all the anti-Elon stuff is actually AI traveling back in time?
Oh, God.
No,
And Eli's
it's actually anti-AI stuff because he's saying they're doing a bunch of stupid shit.
Eli's probably got
I don't know.
Neuralink, so he is probably part AI right now.
He's
don't
doing
know.
a disinformation campaign on himself.
Yeah, just think of I don't know. Yeah, like AI knows that a lot of people think that Elon Musk is full of shit. So by having him come out against or in favor of regulating AI makes people be like, no,
Actually,
let that shit cook.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
that they're making him anti-AI.
Yep.
But this is going to take so many people's jobs. It's like not funny. Like
Yeah.
it's ChatGPT sampled all my blogs because its knowledge of the internet isn't current, but it's from 2021. So it had all my blogs from like 2021.
Yeah.
And it basically could write a blog in my voice.
How about that?
But that's like fucked.
It's going to take your job.
It's going to talk on this microphone soon.
I would listen to an AI podcast.
You already have.
No, but an AI podcast that's trying to do like call her daddy. That would be awesome. Just robots sexting each other.
Well, imagine once they put AI, a chatbot, into these OnlyFans accounts.
Wow.
Because right now it's just like that was Andrew Tate's whole model. Like he would be typing and it wouldn't be a girl on the chat room. It would just be
Andrew Tate
sexting
sexting with dudes.
Yeah, trying to get money. Like that's his whole business idea. He's like, yeah, I don't actually have them talk.
All right. We got the interview with George Santos coming up. Billy, you want to do this ad read going into it?
Yeah.
I would love for you to do that. And
Sorry.
This is going to be a big it's a big moment for Macrodosing, our first representative in Congress. We're open to having, if you are a representative of Congress right now, open invite.
Mm-hmm.
You're all
Yeah.
welcome on this show.
All of them?
At once, yeah, all of them.
What if we just went to Congress?
Yeah, we do a tour,
And we just start dropping in.
get AOC on the
I
pod.
was just going to say,
Oh.
I feel like AOC should be our next white whale.
Yeah, we need to get
Bernie.
some more liberals.
Big T
Bernie.
and AOC going tete-a-tete would be appointment television.
Well,
What do you think, Big T? You up for it?
Sure.
All right.
you know, politics gets a lot of people down sometimes. And because of that, when you need a little help, try BetterHelp. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago. I won't be the same person I am in 7 years. Life's ever changing, and something like BetterHelp, talking to someone, can really help you grow as a person in multiple facets. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Therapy is definitely essential. You know, we live in a world where we use our brains a lot more than we did 100 years ago. So just like you go to physical therapy, you got to go get some therapy for your brain. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/dose today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/dose. DOSC. And here's our interview with George Santos.
We now welcome on a special guest of Macrodosing. It's Congressman George Santos. I can't believe I just said that actually, because let's just start there. We said on the show like 2 weeks ago, love to have George Santos on the show and just dig into a lot of stuff with him. Never expected that you'd say yes to coming on the show. Why did you agree to come on the show?
Why not? I go everywhere. I mean, why not come here? You guys are great. You do good work. I'm here to laugh and have a good time. So
okay, great. Well, I guess you've been doing some interviews. I saw you were on Piers Morgan. He kind of just like jumped into everything and had like a laundry list of things that he wanted to run through with you. I think that there might be a more interesting story here than has been discussed about you.
sure.
Because you are kind of an underdog story in a way. You are an openly gay Republican. You're from Brazil. You grew up in a working class family. You don't have a higher education degree, and you somehow got elected to Congress. Now, there's been some stories that you've embellished that have been, very publicly discussed and picked apart. But I think your real story might be more interesting than even some of the embellishments that you've had in the past. So I guess why did you feel the need to go down the embellishment road when you have like a great story or a very interesting story that I feel like would resonate with a lot of people?
I get asked that question a lot. So when you're looking at the allegations of the New York Times, they essentially think I made up an entire persona and just ran with it. When in reality, my flaw was never admitting I didn't graduate college, embarrassed, insecurity. I don't know, you name it. It was stupid. Very stupid decision. I've made that publicly, public comment many times. Don't advise anybody doing it. Please don't do it. It's stupid. It haunts you. It's at the time, the local Republican Party in Nassau County. Now, if anybody here is from Nassau County or remotely close to New York, Republican politics knows the kind of stuff we deal with in the political apparatus there. He would never be open to allowing somebody to get on the line. And I just, in a whim of a decision, of a very stupid decision, I said, I guess I'll just put that there and we'll make it work out. And I went with it. But I think what you're saying is why not just not put that? If I had not embellished it to get at least a nomination and then be able to showcase who I am, which I did over the course of 3.5 years. I ran 2 campaigns consecutively. The second one, I had to essentially insert myself as a candidate because they were ready to move on to run with another candidate. And I said, instead of just rolling over and allowing them to take over this and do whatever they want to do and put another generic person there, I went and I built into the community. I worked with them on issues. We were going through the whole Unmask Our Children campaign because just the signs just didn't make sense according to the signs being put out from the White House and Tony Fauci. So I immersed myself into with the parents and all the Parent Bill of Rights and all that kind of stuff. And, I forced myself on them. So they were forced to endorse me the second time because I was just too entrenched. I had raised way too much money at that point from grassroots efforts and donors across the country and in the district. So it was stupid. But you're right. I look, my story is a story of, I think, most Americans. I come from an immigrant background. I'm first generation born American. My parents were working class people. My dad's a union worker. I'm a pro-union Republican. So, you don't get a lot of folks with that mentality in Washington, D.C. I'm an openly gay Republican. I think what I bring to the table, it transcends all the old school bickering of politics. And it's just like, I'm a regular dude, or maybe not so regular, but I'm like a regular person that just contradicts a lot of the isms and narratives out there. And it pisses people off, both on the right and on the left. And I make no excuses for that. I think that's a superpower if you can. And every person, when you enter politics, if you can have some sort of superpower so that you can have relevancy, so that you can, represent your constituents well, I think it works. So from the get-go, I was already always going to be a nuisance just for the simple fact that I went against the grain. The left hated it. The Republicans, not all Republicans, and I've never suffered any kind of discrimination or homophobia whatsoever in the Republican Party. And I say that on the record constantly. But it's just a matter of, I'm there. I'm not going anywhere. Now, the only people who get to take me out of there is in 2 years if the electorate chooses not to reelect me. And that's a referendum on my report card. So until then, I'm going to work.
Do you think it's going to be realistic to be able to represent your constituents, even though you're under fire constantly? It seems not from Democrats like you said, but also your own party has the Nassau County Republicans are asking that you resign. So it feels like you've alienated a lot of the political apparatus out there. Given that, are you going to be able to represent your constituents?
I ran and won without help of the political apparatus. They didn't help me. I did it on my own. So all they gave me was, hey, here's your endorsement. We won't put somebody on the ballot to primary you. But they admittedly went out on public and said we never helped him. He was never one of us, because I'm not a party guy. I'm not a kiss the ring guy. I am not owned. Nobody owns me. I'm a free thinker. I'm a free agent. My allegiance is to the people and to this country, which I love unapologetically. And that's what really bothered them from the get-go. I was never supposed to win, right? So put him there. He's a sacrificial lamb. And then the lawsuit comes down from the state court of appeals. And well, now he has a really winnable chance. And at that point, you couldn't change candidates. So they had to deal with the fact that I was most likely going to win if I played my cards right. And I did. And here I am. And I flipped the Biden plus 10 seat, won it by 8 in some points, so it's an 18, almost 19 point swing in a different direction. When other members who did win their elections won by 1 point. So, half a point upstate in some cases. So I think there's something to be said about a community, immersing yourself in the community, being from the community is a big asset too. And I think it's realistic, just so you know, because I'm actually doing the work. If you look at the kind of work I'm doing, and I don't want to get super technical, but if you look at the kind of work that I'm doing, the kind of legislation I'm putting forward, my first bill in the House was a bill to raise the SALT cap taxes deductions from 10K to 50K. No strings attached, no marriage necessary, no combined income minimums or max, just straight up 50K, because the average income property tax in my district is $45,000 a year. So my district gets dinged. It's the wealthiest congressional district in the state. It's the third or fourth wealthiest congressional district in the country. I have a unique problem there. I have a very affluent constituent base, but I also represent Queens in New York City, parts of Queens. It's a different scenario there.
I think, how you doing, by the way, brother?
I'm good.
Right. I think, unless you're like totally naive, you're kind of aware of your public persona, correct? Like
100%.
You know how you're perceived, right?
Yeah.
So the perception around you is extreme distrust. And it is in general with our politicians, and in general, that's kind of like the narrative politicians lie. I think in your case, it's not unique, but it's just so out in the open, and you've admitted to it. Now, when you say you represent your constituents, do you feel like two-part question. Do you feel like you've been mischaracterized in any way? And do you feel like the people are being represented given how much you've had to walk back things that you've said, or how much distrust you've sown into the fabric of your public persona?
So to answer your first question, yes, I've been misrepresented for clicks, right? I mean, there's a lot of narratives out there that we have submitted tons of corroborated evidence for them to be clawed back. What's
the main one you think that?
I mean, I'm being accused of being a thief. I'm not a thief. I've never stole anything in my life, right? I'm being accused of swindling a veteran for charitable donations.
The check fraud thing, though. Check fraud thing in Brazil. I mean, I feel like when you say like what you've been accused of and how it's been proven not to be true, the check fraud thing is still very much alive in Brazil, right?
It's not. It's actually dwindling down, and it's being dismissed.
Okay, but it's not dismissed yet.
Well, it's a process, right? If you can imagine how slow the justice system is in the United States, just put a multiplier on that in Brazil, and then you'll have a sense of what it is. So my point being here is there's a lot of mischaracterizations for sure. Now, the public trust, the public opinion you talk about, that's in the media. I invite any one of you guys to come into the district with me. I was out in the district all day yesterday, the day before, touring sites, meeting with constituents. people think that because there's protests outside my office, it's no different than what happens to Congressman Darrell Issa in California and other members all across the country. I did not win unanimously. I did not get every single voter in the district to vote for me. I won by 142,000 votes, 25,000 more votes than my opponent. There's still 121,000 or so, or 120,000 people or so who didn't vote for me. Guess what? They're going to build on the fact that there's this perception out there, and they're going to be louder. The majority of the people protesting outside my office, I mean, there's been drag queen performances out. They're from Manhattan. They don't live in the 3rd Congressional District. I go out in restaurants. I go grocery shopping. I'm a very regular guy. I mean, I go out in sweatpants, socks and slides, go into the grocery store to pick up milk. I'm having normal conversations with my neighbors, with people who voted for me. And they're just like, this will blow over. Just let it go. You know, it was that's kind of I'm not saying I'm naive. I'm not saying I don't know that there are people who are disappointed in me. But I also spend a lot of my time talking to people and saying, look, I made a mistake. I messed up. I'm human. Give me a chance to judge me by my record in this body and the work I do for you. And that's what people have been saying. Look, I voted for you for a specific reason. Let's see if you come through with why I voted for you. That's kind of been the interaction. Now, obviously, I haven't spoken to 142,000 people yet, but that's kind of like the takeaway I have.
Do you have friends in Congress? Are there people that you're able to call your friends that you hang out with? Because that's something I wanted to get into a little bit. We don't know what it's like inside. I mean, I grew up in the DC area. I knew some people that worked on Capitol Hill for a while, but I don't know, what that high school clique mentality is like, or even if that's a fair way to characterize it. What are things like inside Congress? Like, how do the friendships and the cliques like separate and infighting and all that stuff? What's been one thing that you've learned as a congressperson about how DC works?
Have you ever watched Mean Girls?
Yes.
That's Congress in a nutshell.
Okay.
There is a mean girl there. I'm not saying that's me, but I'm like the Katie, the Lindsay Lohan, just coming in kind of like, oh, wow, this is strange. I don't come from a political background. So yeah, I'm pretty much an outsider, but I went in with friends because if you recall in 2020 when I ran, my race was uncalled for about 3 weeks and I was invited to new member orientation because I was ahead. And we can, unpack this whichever way you want. I don't like rehashing like 2020 elections. It's just frustrating for, I think, a lot of people in many different reasons. But I went to orientation. So that entire freshman class of the 117th Congress built a relationship with me. I try to be as personable and kind to people as I humanly can. It's just in my nature as there's different types of people. I'm like a people pleaser at heart. Like I go out of my way to, if you need something, I'll go out of my way and like, here it is. You're like, you didn't have to do that. Well, but you mentioned it and I did it. Right. So it's easy for me to build relationships. So I go into Congress with a lot of relationships from that former freshman class. And these are people who came up and stomped for me during the election. They helped me in whichever way they could and would. And I'm thankful for them. And obviously they were upset with all the fanfare of the media as it spiraled. They're like, they felt betrayed. I had very tough conversations with folks. And I've had pretty public breakups with folks who I was very friendly with, like Congresswoman Nancy May from South Carolina. I was very, very openly friendly with her publicly. She'd come to Manhattan for events. I've gone. She's given me shout outs. Now she's one of the people who called on me to resign, one of the 8 members in my own party. So
what do you think the reason for that is?
Well, I mean, that's a question you should ask her.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't want to put words in her mouth.
Gotcha.
So who are your best friends in Congress?
Best friends. I have best friends there. It's too soon for that, but I have great mentors and great acquaintances and friends, people I hang out, I socialize with. I have many. I mean, if you judge by where I stand during votes and who I talk to, I think it almost becomes self-explanatory. But I am the most right-leaning member of the Republican Party in the Northeast. In general, in New York State, I would venture to say maybe there's Congresswoman Elise Stefanik who might be a little tad, but I think I might outdo her. I'm pretty conservative, and I ran on that. I ran being a very staunch pro-lifer. I ran on being a very staunch Second Amendment advocate, freedom, pro-freedom of speech, all that stuff. So naturally, I do gravitate more towards the Freedom Caucus type mentality members. I'm not part of any caucuses. I don't think they're productive, but I hang out with Matt Gaetz. Tim Burchett from Tennessee is my mentor, and some other members. Somebody that I have a lot of respect for is Harriet Hagman, who was a congresswoman who unseated Liz Cheney. So these are very smart person, by the way, so that's where I gravitate towards. It's like, I love Thomas Massey from Kentucky. I think he's amazing. He's a great member of Congress. We have disagreements on, who we want to be president or on certain policies, specifically fiscal policies, but that's kind of where I gravitate. That's kind of my crowd. But I've taken some what could be considered moderate votes because it's for the district. I'm not there for my self-belief. I'm there for the belief of what I think is best for the congressional district I represent. So
you've been an inspiration to one person in particular in this room, and that's Billy over here, because Billy has a track record where he sometimes embellishes things, and as always, and he gives.
Stop doing that, Billy.
You give him inspiration that one day Billy could be in Congress, and I actually do think that Billy could. I think one day we might be looking at Senator football over here.
Yeah, I was just wondering. You were talking about how the establishment didn't help you with your election, with your campaign, and a lot of that. I just wanted to talking about your fundraising. I was reading up, and I just want to know how much of this was true, that you put a lot of your own money into your campaign. So, I mean, you overcame a lot of adversity with not having support from, the local Republican Party. But how are you able to do that? Because a lot of people, there's a lot of gray area of how exactly you're able to fund your campaign and sort of surmount the odds of being basically an outsider and come from the outside.
So a lot of folks are just, they go nuts over the finance part of this, and I don't understand why, right? So they're basing, the whole thing spans off of my financial disclosures from 2020 when we were in the middle of a pandemic and my income had been slashed severely, like most people, especially at the time I was in the conference circuit in private equity, hosting and doing conferences. So if you think about that, there's no conferences being hosted. So yeah, our income was slashed. And the way that the financial disclosures are asked, if you ever get a chance to see the form, it's pretty cut dry. What is your earnings from this day to this day? Very specific, not a year prior, which would have been a different picture. And then there's this massive jump that they see from that value to the value this year after I open a company and I go solo after the pandemic. So I'm being dinged for being an entrepreneur and going out of being the employee to being the kind of employer, right? And kind of assuming my own business and earning good income with it. The one bad decision I made, I put almost every dollar I made in the last 2 years into my campaign. So it's stupid business decision, but it was a risk I decided to take and it paid off.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, where exactly did you earn that money?
The money was all earned through legitimate business practices through a company that I own, and it was all through referral fees and through capital introduction meetings and just it's a standard practice. But for some reason, I can't do it. I feel like the media says George Santos cannot do this.
So if I've got like $10 million I want to invest, you would then introduce me to somebody.
No,
and then
the other way around. I work with people seeking funding, and I have a roster of folks like you that would, although I can't do that anymore. So I'm dissolving the company because when you're in Congress, you can't have
funding for their businesses.
So not funding. So I don't do any of the finances. So let's say you're trying to start a company and you need $10 million, right? I have a list of people and you give me the vertical and all of the stuff that you're trying to do, right? Like, oh, I want to start it. It's going to be to create organic food for kittens and puppies, right? Big T here has a
lawnmower business.
No. He has money.
Yeah,
tons of money.
We do have that though.
Yeah, that he earned through his lawnmower business.
So he has tons of money, and you kind of like you're the type of business he's interested in. So I'll go to him and say, T, I have this guy that's looking for funding. I think it would be a great connection, a great match. All I do is make the introduction. I remove myself. You guys settle it out. So I just have the Rolodex and I know what people are interested in and what their mandates are. and people who are seeking funding come to me, and I just charge a flat fee. And
You're the liaison for angel investing?
No, that's that. I'm a cap introduction guy. That's it. That's all it is. That's what it's called. So capital introduction.
You know people with a lot of money.
Yes.
Now, what was your involvement with Harbor City Capital?
I was
the extent of it.
I was an employee, like every single other person that was an employee. I was hired by them to do capital intro. I was not doing placement, right, of any funds or anything. And everything that I've put out publicly, as people dissect, this is all information that was given to us internally. I was an employee. I mean, I spoke to the SEC at the time. We all did. Nobody was implicated because it was a one-man Ponzi scheme, and I got caught up in it. That's what led me to not wanting to work for anybody anymore and opening my own business. So I never again got caught looking stupid.
How many employees?
But you
were
see,
at
real quick,
Harbor City?
but you see how like you kind of leave a trail of distrust, and you have to see the reason as to why. Like, so like when I asked like why does that the congressman that he referred to, like why doesn't she, like, you have to see why people kind of lean towards I can't really trust him. Like, you got to see that.
No, I'm not saying I don't see it, but
Okay.
you're saying I had one employer who got dinged. Do you know how many people get dinged in New York City?
No. I'm talking about all of your. You have a lot of, allegations for like lies that you've told over the time, things that you've done, not investments, businesses you've been a part of. Like, I mean, after
Business, not is,
Okay.
right? One.
after a while, people are like, where there's smoke, there's fire. Like, he's kind of like a liar.
Okay, well, I mean, look, if you want to say that, that's fine. But
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, do you understand how people can come to that conclusion, or do you think they just all full of shit?
no, I understand people can come to that conclusion. I never dismissed that,
Gotcha.
right? I mean, sky's blue, right? So I think we can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not dismissing that.
Right.
I'm just saying that folks are trying to to create a fire where there is no fire. There's a lot of folks in the media that they
A lot of smoke, though.
Sure, go ahead. You can say there's smoke, but not necessarily fire, right? I might I have been in a place more than once where I got caught up in something that I had nothing to do with, and then does it give a bad perception? Sure, but it wasn't me.
Gotcha.
How many employees were at Harbor?
I don't
City
remember.
Capital?
I mean,
Was it a small firm, large firm?
I think under 20, 25 maybe total.
Look at Billy diving into the nitty gritty details.
And look, and I don't quote me on those numbers. I don't I couldn't tell you the expense at this point. Anything I tell you about that, I couldn't tell. I couldn't do it under oath and I'd say that because I just don't know what the man was doing. Like, he would tell us all these numbers, put all these people on conference calls. For all I know, he was just filling random people in there as actors.
So those are my hard questions. Now for some of my more lighthearted questions. Being in Congress, being in the DC area, and you've been in politics, you're in Washington. Do you actually see a semblance of a swamp or a deep state in DC?
I have the stench on me every day I wake up.
Are you deep state?
I am not deep state.
Do you see it? Are you like,
Who is deep state?
Who asked that? You know
T,
what?
I ain't that shit.
We'll cut it. We'll cut it. Just tell us.
No. It's not who is I don't know who deep state is. Deep state wants me gone, right?
So there is a deep state.
So you haven't gotten that far yet, though.
I feel like deep state is just what people say, like anybody that's against you. Well, you can just be like, they're deep state.
Yeah, I guess
Deep
that's a great way to put it. I mean, look, there's no question that there's some semblance of what a deep state is. It's there. It exists. We all see it. We know it. It's tangible almost. You can almost feel it, but you just don't know what it is and who it is.
How long do you have to be in Congress before you start
Killing
really
babies
feeling
and
out
drinking
who's in the
blood.
deep state?
You know what? I'll say this. I took a pledge that I would not stay long enough to become deep state. So I won't find out, but you can ask the guys who've been serving 40, 30 years.
I mean, how many years do you have to serve till you get like lifelong benefits?
There's no such thing as lifelong benefits. So that's a myth, right? So for some reason, the American people were fed a bill of goods at one point that you go to Congress, you serve one term, maybe 2 or 3, and you get a full pet. It's not true. And then there's been stories saying that that's the only reason I ran for Congress is because I wanted life benefits. I'm like, no.
I mean, that would be something I would do.
Yeah,
Like
Billy
free
would-
healthcare. Like I put in a good 5 years if that was the limit. But
Billy
like
would definitely be running some scams on Congress people if he got in.
just on not on my constituents.
You know how
on
in
the
high
Congress
school
people.
you like sell, if you're a senior, you sell the elevator pass to freshmen. They're like fresh, the first day.
I've bought the elevator.
Did you bought it? Did you flip it when you were a senior?
I never got to be a senior. I got a GED when I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So when you're walking around Congress, you see some of these like 30, 40-year-old or 30, 40-year-old, they've served for that long in Congress. Are you like, man, I could run some scams on these guys?
no, look, if you think that you're slick and you're street smart and you're going to go in there and you're going to try to look, the longer they serve, the wiser they get. To me, like the scariest person in Congress is somebody like Nancy Pelosi.
Agreed.
She's as articulate as they come. She's as smart as they come, and she understands political maneuvering like no one else. I mean, the woman cracks a whip, her entire party snaps into line. It's not the same on our side. We're a little bit more willful. Let's just put it that way on the Republican side.
A lot of firebrands recently in Congress. I did want to ask you about one piece of legislation, and I just saw a headline, but maybe you can educate me on what it is. You want to make the AR-15 the national gun of America?
So there was a member of Congress, Barry Moore from Alabama, was passing around a pamphlet. That's how we get people to co-sponsor our bills, right? So I didn't write the bill. I'm pro Second Amendment through and through. I make no excuses for it. I walk around with a Gadsden flag lapel pin almost all the time. Don't thread on me. You don't step on my freedoms, right? I'm sensitive and I'm sympathetic to what's going on in our country, but I don't stem it back to guns. I stem it back to mental health issues.
Right. I guess my question would be, it sounds like a piece of legislation that was drawn up specifically to own the libs, which I don't know how productive that is. If you're in Congress, I'm sure there are more important things to be working on.
Yeah.
Like, why would we need to just declare the AR-15 to be a national gun? Like, was anybody really asking for that?
I mean, look, if the congressman wrote it up, I'm pretty sure he had the request, and I got positive support in my district. Remember, I represent some pretty conservative parts of New York in my district, and I got positive support. I did get dinged over the head. I mean, there was a protest outside my my office just yesterday because of, again, reviving this bill. Every time there's a shooting, they go outside of my office and protest because I co-sponsor this bill.
I'm not saying that you're responsible for shootings, for mass killings, or anything of that nature. I just don't understand why we would need to have a national.
We have
gun.
a national everything. Why not have a gun? Why are we excluding gun?
Because gun violence in America, especially school shootings, is a uniquely American problem, and to give a mascot to that is it's performative politics, and it's pointless. And y'all know it's pointless. It doesn't serve any actual purpose other than performative points for the voters that you want to get.
Does any national anything serve any points?
National bird, bald eagle. Bald eagles are sweet. They're cool.
They're also predatory.
Yeah, they're cool, but they're a predator. To my point, right?
But
are we going to ding them for that?
No, that's my point.
No, I'm pro eagle.
I'm pro eagle too.
Okay.
No, my point is it's performative in the sense that y'all know it's to brand yourselves as I like guns, to placate to voters that you enjoy weapons as well. But
you just figured out Congress, though. That's Congress.
No, I mean that's my problem with politics in general. Is y'all don't actually do shit. I don't want to be too disrespectful, but y'all just
you can't be disrespectful.
But I'm saying y'all just play to the crowd, and instead of actually getting shit done in a real way, y'all are trying to keep your seats, and you do shit like that.
So let me dive into that with you, and I'll tell you this.
Okay.
I agree. Yeah. I ran for Congress because I was pissed off at that garbage. Right? It's garbage.
And you co-signed a bill.
Look, that's fine. I co-sponsored 66 bills so far, right? Mm-hmm. If you look, I have the most activity speaking on the floor. I speak about all real issues, right? My main driver right now is water quality. I know something that most of us don't talk about. Most of us don't know. You just open the faucet, fill your glass, you drink, whatever the case is. Nobody really realizes the troubles it comes through. You get through to get that water to come out of your faucet. That's become my main, like yesterday I was touring facilities. All the water sources on Long Island come through aquifers, underground aquifers. And the problem that we have is contaminants because of irresponsible chemical dumping throughout, the history of our country, specifically on Long Island, with the Grumman plume, with the Polytech plume. These are all issues we've had, chronic issues. I have a town in my district that in 11 months, if we do absolutely nothing, they will not have access to clean water because all their water wells will have been contaminated. Right? So I'm working on that.
Listen, I'm pro water too.
That's bipartisan. Nobody's going to be
it's not about bipartisan.
What is it about?
The media won't report that I'm working on that.
Because
the media doesn't want to highlight good work we do.
That's like saying if you have kids, like you gave them dinner last night, I'm supposed to like pat you on the back for doing what you're supposed to do.
No.
When you do things out of the unnecessarily out of the norm to score political points, that's of course the media is going to sensationalize.
So this is the problem we have is it's all sensationalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it,
but you play to that.
We all do. Every single politician.
Okay.
No, you don't. Every single politician, because it's about getting, a point across.
That's what I'm saying.
But it is about getting a point across. I don't think any politician is going to deny that to you.
Well, no, that's the issue. The issue is instead of actually being about diplomacy and being about peace, co-signing a bill that gives America a national gun, there are going to be people in opposition to that. And there's no win there. The only win is, like you said, to own the libs and to score some points and to get traction on social media and to get traction to drum up the profile so that you get voters. That's the issue that I have with politics in America. And politicians, quite frankly, should have that same issue because y'all complain about each other and yourselves, but you are all in the same arena dancing the same dance. And it makes no sense.
Look, I'm not going to disagree with you, but all I can say is if the media also stops sensationalizing messaging bills, that's what those are called, by the way, messaging bills, and everybody does them. If you go through every single member of Congress's, I have not introduced a messaging bill yet. I have only put actual tangible bills. The bills I'm introducing are tangible, real issues we have. So the United States likes to say we're the country of tolerance, peace, love, and equality, but we're funding countries to the tune of $19 billion a year that throw gay people off buildings and hang them off the side of buildings. Why are we sending fucking money to them? Why are we giving your taxpayer dollars to countries that don't respect the same values we have here? I put a bill out on that. I couldn't get a single co-sponsor. I don't know if it's because it's me. I don't know if it's because they don't really care. I don't know if it's because they're virtual signaling. That's a problem, but that's a real issue. Then I go and I make a very identical copy of the bill for women's rights. We give over $50 billion to countries that mutilate women's genitalia, don't let them drive, don't let them go to school. They don't have freedom. They can barely show their eyes out in public, and we're funding that suppression. Right? So those are issues. These are taxpayer dollars. If we pass these two bills, we're saving $69 billion for the American people that can go back to helping veterans, that can go back to helping infrastructure in this country, that we can stop all the nonsense and lower taxes. Nobody wants to talk about it.
What? Yes,
I would love to talk about it.
I would talk about it.
I'm saying
nobody wants to talk about it.
Grandstand on that and don't waste your time with silly shit that the media is going to sensationalize. Because the media is important, regardless of how you feel about them. They're important to a free society.
I totally agree. They're the beacon of transparency and putting out information. But
I love that you put transparency in quotes.
Because it is. It's not transparent.
Okay.
Like you look at every different network and they all have a different agenda. You turn on CNN and you turn on Fox at the same time. It's two freaking different alternative realities.
They should though.
That's terrible.
That's not.
It's opinionated journalism. It's not good.
So do you then agree that we can do away with the law that created the monster that is Fox News and MSNBC? If it's opinionated journalism, I think that was Nixon that created that, right? Would you be in favor of eliminating Fox News's and MSNBC's across the board?
I'm not in favor of eliminating. As you're saying, are you talking about antitrust laws because they're just so big, like News Corp? Is that what you're alluding to?
It was the law that Nixon passed. I'm going to look up the law that gave rise to cable news networks like this that didn't have to abide by the same standards and practices. It was the Nixon administration. It was Roger Ailes that helped create this. It was 1970. Roger Ailes and Nixon aides came up with a plan to create a new TV network that would circumvent existing media and provide pro-administration coverage to millions.
Sounds accurate.
So I feel like that would be good for America in general, is to get rid of these types of media establishments and go back to an era where it was just about what the actual facts.
But then we're going to go back to what an era like of NPR, which is state-funded media. That's a problem.
NPR is just boring.
Well,
we talked about this on the. They should just have a boring tag next to them, not state-funded.
Go ahead. We have a special guest that I want to bring in. But this is why you have a lot of growing anti-capitalists in America, is because the logical conclusion of capitalism is media networks that maximize profits, and how you maximize profits is clicks and clickbait and stuff like that. And so that is the logical end.
You're telling me about clickbait?
No, well,
I've seen articles that have nothing to do with me on the internet, but my name's a tagline.
No, I'm linking it to a cornerstone of the Republican Party, which is capitalism, and the Democratic Party. And so in order to I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I think if you spend the majority of your time lobbying for things like the clean water and shit, you're going to find a lot more people view you favorably rather than trying to sow the divide. Like, that's my problem with political pundits and politicians in general, is they would rather sow the divide to score points than rather like to find some kind of peace and diplomacy, because we live in a country where it's super divided and it's going to continue to be divided, but it's rather we come to the table and eat the same food rather than throw it at each other.
Look, I'll say this. I'm always willing and ready to work with anybody on anything. I'm partisan. I'm a Republican, and I'm proud of that. But the reality is the media is not representing the accurate opinion of the district right now. I can say this until I'm blue in the face. You guys have to go into the district with me and see the reaction.
So you think you're going to win? You're going to win?
We're going to send Billy on a camera with you.
I'd love to do it. Like, when I'm back in first week of May, it's an open invitation. We'll go out and do it. We'll spend a day in the district and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's cars going by my district office as I'm like literally Windexing and cleaning the glass because I'm OCD, and I'm not going to go hire some crazy government contract to pay them $3,000 a month to come clean a window. I can just spray Windex and paper towel it down, right? People going by and say, we love you. That's why we voted for you. You're simple. You get it. Like, this is kind of like, and that's not for show. That's just who I am, right? So I go to restaurants, people are coming up and giving me words of support. I get words of support on my phone all day long. You know, it's texts like, hang in there. That's why we voted for you, because you don't back down. Look, if there's something that can be learned, is that after Congress, whether I get elected or not, I didn't know I was going to get elected this time. You never know. Elections are they go with the wind. So I just didn't know. I don't know if I'll get elected again, but I'll try.
But you're running. You're definitely.
I'm not definitely. I haven't announced that yet. But.
Okay. But it sounds like you're planning on it. We've got a special guest we want to bring in because he knows that you're a Mets fan. So this is Frank the Tank. We saw the viral video that went out of you cheering on the Mets. Frank is.
I think I cursed them.
Frank is going to debate you on who truly cursed the Mets. This is Frank. He's a diehard Mets fan. He absolutely loves the Mets.
Yeah, I'm cursed all the time at 24/7. I mean, it's just incredible.
But do you blame him for cursing the Mets? Frank?
Well, first off, let's go Mets. You got to like follow the cadence of "We Will Rock You." Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets.
I'll take the criticism.
That's the cadence.
Look, usually when I'm in Citi Field, I'm in a box, and let's just say I've had way too many adult beverages.
He parties too hard. That's it. George Santos' only crime is getting hammered at National League games.
Now, being a Mets fan.
Yeah, there's some other crimes. Right.
I got some Mets.
That's not true either.
I got some Mets trivia for you.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bomb. Save yourself the agony.
Let's do
it.
Go Mets.
Don't do that. Let's go Mets. All right, go ahead, Frank. Do it.
When Mookie Wilson hit the ground ball through Bill Buckner's legs, who scored the winning run?
I have no clue what that is. You got a gay man here. You're trying to talk about baseball. I'm so sorry. Look, just to give you, I'll give you this. Do you know that jersey was a Lindor jersey? Because he is my favorite player.
I didn't know who was on the back of it,
but it
yeah.
was Lindor. Yeah,
good choice. Yeah. Good choice. All right, thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Take that with you.
Frank, who was it? Ray Knight.
Ray Knight, there you go. So keep that one in your back pocket. I know
you be the one to say, well, who was it, bro?
I know.
We gotta know.
I know you've got a heart out, so I want to be respectful of the time here. Billy and I were talking before you sat down. We might have some breaking news here. You got the famous quote of you being Jew-ish,
Yes.
not actually Jewish, which is just, I mean, it's an all-time line.
I'm Italian-ish.
Yeah. I know that there's, understandably a lot of actual Jewish people that are upset with referring to yourself as being Jew-ish. You said that you got DNA results back.
Not sharing them with you, man.
100% that bitch? what you're not going to share the DNA? You said that you got them back, right?
I submitted 4 DNA tests. I got 3 back. Not sharing the results with you, but for other reasons, because we're also getting a genealogy trace back. We're waiting on that. I want to package it and just give it to everybody and be like, look, wasn't lying about that. Here's World War II. It was very fucking complicated, especially with people trying to survive and forging essentially everything in order to do so. So as soon as we have the package, I'll send it to you guys. I'll come and talk about it here. I don't mind. I mean, I'm definitely going to give it to someone else first, but I'll definitely come here and talk about it with you guys.
The disrespect of our journalistic integrity, brother.
Isn't there a difference though between genealogy and actually being of the Jewish faith?
So what?
Because you're Catholic, right?
So yes. So what was missed in translation? And if you look up at the JNS video of my interview talking about Judaism back in December last year, 4 months ago or so, it was by JNS. I explained that thoroughly. This is before any allegation. I'm saying, look, he's like, so how does it feel to be one of 3 members of the Republican Party who are Jewish? I'm like, look, let me start here. I'm not Jewish. I'm Jewish. I come from a Jewish family. My mother's family is all of Jewish background and heritage, but I was raised Roman Catholic. I've always made that distinction. But in Judaism, when you were born to a Jewish mother, that makes you Jewish. You're an MOT, member of the tribe. That's how you'll be viewed, although I do not practice the Jewish faith. That was what I was always conveying. And the joke was always like, I'm Jewish, because if you ever meet somebody who's an MOT, they'll say, no, we're claiming you for ourselves. And if you watch that JNS interview, you'll see that they end like that. I say like Jewish. She's like, yeah, we're still claiming you for ourselves. But I was raised Roman Catholic. I've never made any misrepresentation of the opposite, of the contrary, like a lot of news publications are trying to do that.
You called yourself a Latino Jew.
Latino Jew. Yeah, I am of a Jewish heritage. That's a valid point, but I'm Catholic.
A true politician.
That would be so. That's misleading as fuck. Respectively,
It's
respectfully,
not. Look,
if somebody told me they're a Latino Jew, I'd be like, oh, they're Jewish.
okay.
I guess we can
Go
agree
ahead.
to disagree.
We can agree to
If somebody
disagree.
told me that they were a Jew, I'd be like, oh, they're a Jew.
But there's very explicit details on for years of me. Like I said it before, not disrespectful. I have plenty of Jewish friends. I actually represent the 3rd largest Jewish constituency in a congressional district in the country. I break bread with these folks. I go to Shabbat dinners more often than most. And
You still go to those?
I still go to those. Yeah. So the reality, it's an honor to be invited, and you go. You'd never say no to Shabbat dinner. It's like if
I've never been invited.
I think we need to break bread. Invite Arian.
How that mean,
They might not like a guy named Arian at a.
Damn.
That's not true.
There you go.
That is not
you can't
true.
help yourself.
That's
can you?
not
You
true.
cannot
That's
help
not
yourself.
true. That's
can
not true. They had a guy named Santos. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like,
All right. Well, thank you very much for stopping in. We
appreciate
look
you
forward
guys.
to the results of the DNA tests.
appreciate that.
When you get those back. When you
Yeah.
get that 4th out of the 3 out of
The
4.
4th
back.
and all the genealogy, and then we'll package it and give it to everybody.
Yeah, there was. You know what? There was one last thing. There was a video.
Go ahead, just ask.
There was a video that came out last week at the Trump indictment, where you're being surrounded by the media, you're being followed by the media, and you're walking away from them, and then you just walk like into a wall.
I didn't walk into a wall. I was walking to the car.
You walk towards a wall.
I walked towards the wall so I can go to the driver's seat. That the car was parked by the wall.
When something like that happens, and you're like, oh shit, there's so many cameras that just saw me walk towards this wall. Do you think to yourself like,
Well,
it's
that's
gonna be a tough day online?
Well, that's what they were trying to sell. That George Santos was so distraught he walked into a wall. No, I was walking to the wall to go into the driver's seat that was by the wall.
Okay.
And there was a corridor there, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. But the media didn't get that angle because that's the perception that the media likes to sell is stupid, sensationalized garbage. If the media sold the facts, 100% of the time, this country would be in a lot less trouble than it is. But because the media is too busy on getting people to go on their shows and do their sponsorships and buy all the commercial space, they need to sensationalize garbage so they can get people to actually watch, so they can justify selling commercials.
Are sensationalization and embellishment in the same ballpark?
No.
Got you.
You did walk into the door frame, though.
Where?
in DC.
Oh, totally.
Totally.
Dude, I walked into door frames. I went into the first week in Congress when I had 40 people following me. I was like, okay, I gotta go vote. And I couldn't make, it was tough. I walked into dead ends. I walked into like no exit halls. I'm like, God.
You had the asshole off with Mitt Romney. You're an asshole. No, you're an asshole.
Look, Mitt Romney it wasn't the first time a white dude told me to shut up and sit in the back of the room. It's not going to be the last time. And I just keep not doing it. And he's going to have to accept me. He's like probably the weakest person in Congress. He has no spine. He stands for nothing. He waffles and washes to every single policy and issue, doesn't stand for anything. He calls himself a Republican, wears a Ukraine flag pin to the State of the Union. I'm sorry. Fuck off, Mitt Romney. You're like, I have no respect for the man. And he wants to come into the chamber in the House I serve and call me an asshole. You have some gall. You're a guest in this chamber. He should have respected me. I'm sorry. Like, period, point blank. That's not how you conduct yourself as a member of Congress in the chambers. Just not. He was wrong. Period. Sorry.
That's fine.
Speaking about
Let's go. Let's go.
Talking about the military industrial complex, do you ever get approached by like some like here's some stock tips if you vote this certain way?
No, I look.
Good question, Billy. What if you just answered that? Yeah.
So,
but like, you don't have to accept it. But like, how does that work? How do they get like? How did
I don't trade stocks? I'm introducing a bill to ban individual stock trading for members of Congress.
Now I'm with that shit.
So look, their spouses, their parents, and their kids, immediate family. It's over. Like the Pelosi era of getting rich off the back of the American people has to end. Congress has a 17% approval rate.
That goes back like hundreds. And
hundreds sure, but let's end it.
She's being punished because she's so
I'm not
good
hating her. I'm not hating her. I mean, there's Republicans there that
I'm absolutely.
I agree.
I vote blue that ticket, and I think she's horrible.
Look, I'll put it this way. You'll start changing your voting pattern and start voting for people who represent you and talk about things you care the moment you see people do that, right? Because I come from a place where Long Island, if anybody here's from Long Island, it's chronically and notoriously known for being a zigzag ballot place because they vote based on the person, on what they have done or what they say they'll do to into offices. That's why you have Republicans and Democrats like overlapping. I represent a district with a bunch of Republicans representing smaller offices and a bunch of Democrats. I'm the first Republican to represent this seat in 20 years. So that just gives you a say because it's about what you're selling to people. And when you act on what you're selling to people, you get people. I know plenty of Democrats who voted for Lee Zeldin for governor. Plenty, because they just had no patience for Kathy Hochul and the nonsense with the crime. So unless you're just one of those hardliners, I'm an activist, I'm a Democrat, that's fine.
No, I'm the furthest thing from a Democrat.
Well, like I said,
I fundamentally disagree with Republicans to the point of there's nothing in your worldview that we agree on. And I'm pretty close with Democrats. I'm not like some enlightened centrist. I'm just I'm farther left than any Democrat, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think your team's gonna drone strike us if we don't get you out of here. Because we're basically holding you hostage at this point. But I would like to
government official.
I would like to continue this relationship, and I know that Billy
we're gonna send Billy.
Would love
Cinco de Mayo.
Would love
what
to
are your
follow you.
I'm not Mexican. That's racist.
I know.
That is racist.
Carnival.
But
Take Billy to Carnival.
Oh my God.
no, I didn't mean it like that. Like you said earlier.
I think we can put a wig on you. Hold on.
Dress Billy in drag. Yeah.
No, you said early May, so I was like, that would be a good
that's how
day.
Billy's brain works. You said first week of May. He went to Cinco de Mayo.
It's a fun party time. I wanted to enjoy
nice.
Adult beverages with you.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't drink on the job though. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Only at Mets games.
Yes.
Yes,
that's true. That is true.
We're gonna put Billy on the road with you because I think he has a lot to learn from you.
Cool. Look,
I would love for you to be Billy's mentor.
I will say this though. I do think Portnoy needs to come into my district and do a pizza review.
Okay, I'll ask him.
Should. Totally should. It's
Here,
good pizza.
actually, let me just get a video of that real quick, and I'll send it right to him. Okay, invite him.
Dave, you need to come to NY3 and get at least a 9.5 slice of pizza that I think that's what you would rate it based on your ratings. Please come on. I'd take you myself.
Okay. All right. I'm going to send that right to him, and I'm sure he'll take you up on that. But thank you very much for coming in.
I know he wants to meet my Santos helpers because he says it all the time online.
Yes.
So.
Yes, he does. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for fighting for a right for toilet paper.
Well, that was interesting. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Maybe just be honest, and hope that's good advice for all the politicians out there, man. If anybody don't have anything else, man, that would be Nanodosing for the day. We appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Still trying to get Big T to do drugs. We at like 30 plus thousand on YouTube. We're getting there. Slow climb. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Take care.